Hey Liam, hoping everything went well for you guys this week, the family and everything.
All good. Thank you, bro. Same.
Just want to ask you, when you look at this defense, what kind of jumps out to you? Obviously, Baker's had a lot of success throwing over the middle of the field, and Demario Davis. I know Pete Warner's a little banged up. Tyrann Matthew, they got playmakers all over there. What do you see from them, and how can you kind of mitigate any risks there?
Yeah, physical unit. I've always respected DA and what he's done in terms of having a salty defense that runs to the football, plays hard. They got playmakers like they get their hands on balls and they get the thing out. I mean, they've done a great job over the year of creating some turnovers and making plays. So we've got to continue to try to get Mike involved early, understanding that matchup. And the success of our offense as he goes is a lot of times as we go. And we just got to, they do such a good job of mixing up their game plan. Like they are very game plan specific for per each team, whether they're going to play a lot of man this week or a lot of three deep or play their two Tampa looks. We've got to have a great plan of being able to adjust in game to how they're going to play us. They also play a bunch of different front structures, under, over, jam. Like you don't really have a great tell on what they're going to do. So getting to another fast start is really important for us to continue to have success early, get our guys into a rhythm, get everybody some touches early, and figure out, okay, once we kind of get into the game, what is the best way to attack these guys, especially in the run game and also in the pass game as well.
We'll go to Evan Winter. If media have a question, please raise your hand.
Hey, Coach. Good to see that you're doing well. When it comes to those in-game adjustments, especially on the road in a hostile environment like that, and you've got to do them at multiple levels, like you said, the different front structures, secondary, so on and so forth. Do you address everybody at one? You kind of go position by position, just kind of like, what's the process? How's that?
Yeah,
What's that?
it's a good question. Yeah, we typically are talking about it over the headset, and then those coaches are, relaying exactly what we're saying to their position groups. Sometimes we'll get a couple groups, whether it's like the tight ends and O line together to talk about run game and the backs, or in the pass game, it's okay, tight ends, running backs, wideouts, and then okay, O line quarterbacks talking about and running backs talking about protections. That's kind of how we do it in game, and then like halftime, man, halftime is fast in the NFL. Like you have 5 minutes to get with your staff to talk about adjustments and what we want to do to attack them. And then you have another 5 minutes to explain it to your players. So, halftime adjustments are sometimes a little more difficult to truly get everything, all that communicated, especially if you're up first in the second half. So, that's kind of our rhythm and how we do it. It's really an all hands on deck and everybody communicating to their players.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hmm?
River Wells.
Hi, Coach. I wanted to ask you at the end of the games, particularly we saw in Detroit, which you guys won towards the end. Detroit had a 4-and-out, and then you guys got the ball back and ended up punting it back to them. And then in Atlanta, a similar thing happened. You had the ball there at the end of the game, punted back. When you're trying to close out a game like that, and Todd Bowles said there's an emphasis of getting better at that. What's kind of your philosophy as a play caller, and what do you think you guys need to do better in that instance?
I think that when you comes down to times of crisis and the game is in, like, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're maybe a little anxious, right? We have to stress and remind and go back to fundamentals and technique. What is my footwork? What is my track? What is my read? What is my assignment? How do you, each player, all 11, because on offense, if all 11 aren't on the same page, a play is typically not successful. Whereas on defense, 6 guys could do the wrong thing and you can get off the grass with a stop. So if you look back at, the last drive, going back, I mean, we have it closed out, and we have to be on the screws with the details, the footwork, the read, the track, and understand how everything is so important on every play to go close out a game, because they know we're running it, we're going to run it, and we had an opportunity to win that game. And we have to use it as a learning moment. If we don't learn from this and get better from this, it will happen again. And we emphasized it today in practice, the exact same situation, the exact same time, the exact same type of deal. We kind of replicated that today in practice, went over the plays that we would run, executed them, and continue to try to learn from those moments.
JC Allen, if any media have questions, please raise your hand.
Speaking of the run game, you've had some success in the run game in the last 2 weeks. What do you guys need to do to sustain that? Obviously, a lot more 21-2 out there. Just talk about what you need to do to sustain that, and how having both of those guys on the field can work to your advantage.
Yeah, we got going with some gap schemes last week early on, which I think helped create some movement and create some more holes and just define some things for the guys, which helped. And then later in the game, we started to lean on them with some of the mid zone that we were, getting 5, 6, 8 yards a pop when we were running those at the end. So again, it's like, okay, how do we want to attack the New Orleans Saints? Every week is different. You want to, we're still continuing to find out what our identity is. Who are we up front? Who are our backs? What are they best at? We've got to be good at both. We've got to be good at both gap and zone, but each week presents its own, kind of ways to attack them. So we'll see this week. We're still working through that. I think we have a good, idea of how we want to attack these guys based on what we've seen. We also don't know what they're going to come out in. And then 21, pony personnel is every week you don't really know what you're going to get. Like most people have played nickel to it. Some people might play base or other, coverages and structures. It just helps having two playmakers on the field, right? I mean, those guys are both playmakers. I think, we know that we need to be better in those 4-minute situations at the running back position, and they will be. And I think they'll learn from that.
Matt Matera.
Hey, Liam, just curious what you've seen from Cade Otton lately. It looks like his production has really picked up over the last 3 games.
Yeah, I think early on, right? Like when the first game, kind of a weird one in ways where we were just kind of throwing and catching at the wideout position. And then recently, we had to use him in the pass game a lot to chip and to be a chipper. And, most recently, obviously being able to get Cade going and get him involved is critical for our success. I mean, he's sturdy, reliable, consistent. The quarterback trusts him. He's done a nice job, run after catch. And, we got to continue to build his progression, keep him involved in the game, because I also believe he's blocking at a high level in the run game. At least last week, I thought both tight ends did a great job in the run game last week. Coach Peel got those guys going and ready to go. Credit to them. But we got to keep Cade going because I really like him as a football player.
And to stick with the running backs, Bucky unfortunately had the fumble late in the game last game, but you went back to him on the next drive. How important is it to kind of keep his confidence up, knowing how important he is going to be to this offense?
It's huge. I mean, it's huge. That was everything that we talked about after the game was, okay, yeah, it happened, man. Like, we have to learn from this, move on from this. Everybody trusts you. Everybody knows who you are. You're one of the first guys in the building. You work your tail off. You're athletic, you're dynamic, you do good things with the football. So we're going to keep coming back to them. We're going to need those guys. We need all 3 of them to be able to contribute throughout this season for our offense to have success in a long season.
Mara Carey.
Hey, Coach. Yesterday, Zion McCollum spoke about how the tragedy and chaos from the hurricane has brought the team together. What do you think that the team has gained from a week like this, and how would you describe the morale headed into Sunday with a ton of distractions?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, we had like Noah's Ark flying out here the other day with, families, dogs, cats, everybody. And, credit to the organization for doing that. And credit to our guys for coming out every day so far and having a great focus. Yesterday was a really good practice out at Tulane. The guys were locked in, focused. There's a good energy, actually. I would say that, Zion's probably correct when he says that sometimes these moments, these times can bring a team together. And, when you're on the road and it's all of us together, our families, our players, our coaches, our staff. You know, we're all we got right now. So we're all together. We're all in this thing together. And, you know, you could definitely see a sense of urgency, especially after a tough loss in a game that, you know, we felt like obviously they won, but we lost in a lot of ways. So how do we bounce back from that? And this is a great kind of challenge for us to be able to do as a team and as an organization to go out and put the best product on the field on Sunday.
Thank you.
All right, that's all we have time for. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.